your preferred partner for custom software development and technology outsourcing. We offer state-of-the-art customized software development services that are client-centric, flexible, and secure to empower businesses.
We spend a good amount of time searching, learning about new things, learning about different strains of viruses, something we never thought we'd have to do 2 years ago. Maybe going on to YouTube and being entertained for hours at a time, and the company behind those services and so many others, search, entertainment, I could go on, is represented with our next keynoter, Naina Rezingani, and she's the product manager at Google. And she spent 2 years as a software engineer on the Chrome team, working on making the rendering engine pixel perfect. So with that, please join me in welcoming her to the virtual screen behind me. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to be here virtually. My name, as mentioned, is Naina Rezingani. I'm a product manager, very specifically working on AMP for email. And my job currently is, part of my job currently is making sure that emails are as interactive as possible, and that whatever need you as a marketer or you as an email sender have, we can help you meet, as well as making sure that users are having a great experience when they're interacting with emails. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I'll start sharing my screen real quick. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for having me. My name's Nana, and we'll get right into it. So before we actually talk about AMP email, I want to spend some time talking about emails generally. Right, email is where, especially right now in the times of COVID, we're spending so much of our time in emails, right? Either we're getting our work email sorted out, or we're trying to sort out our social life, all of those Zoom meetings and like Zoom hangouts that you're having with friends, all those online purchases you've made, all those receipts, tasks that you need to do, all that comes down to your email. And it can be incredibly overwhelming, trying to balance your personal and your professional email space. And it's just a lot to get done in a very small amount of space. But even on the Gmail team, they've seen that, for example, we have the Google Workspace team sees that we have 2.6 billion email users coming to us on a monthly basis, and we saw that around 293 billion emails were sent daily, so like on a daily basis in 2019, and this is pre-pandemic. So you can just imagine how that number must have changed in 2020 and how it is doing in 2021, where even for the smallest thing, you're either emailing or chatting your colleague, or you're emailing or you're chatting with your friend. Whereas usually you could have just met up with them in person to get something done. And that's like a large amount of work being done via email. But while everything else has really shifted in the past 20 years, so for example, from like these really static things that you could do on websites or on the web, such as like maybe checking out a Wikipedia page, you can now do these really complex things like manipulate entire spreadsheets on the web. You can edit an entire video on the web. However, when you kind of look at email, it kind of looks the same, right? It's a whole bunch of static information, and then you kind of click on a link and it will take you somewhere else to take you to a different site, and that's where you'll perform a task. So for example, if you get an abandoned cart email, or like something that was out of stock comes back in stock, you get an email, you click on that email, you click on a link in it, and then you go do your task somewhere else. That's pretty much how that experience was back in 2000, and well, that hasn't changed. But the problem is email plays so much more of a central role in our lives now than it did before. And while the web has really dramatically evolved, email has kind of not just stayed the same, it's been left behind in the past 2 decades, in the past 20 years. And so that's really where the idea for AMP for email came from. How can we create really engaging emails that are leveraging the power of the web, while making sure that users can perform tasks in emails, and make sure that people who are sending emails, so businesses, are seeing really high conversion rates and are seeing really useful emails being sent out. So that's where we kind of started with the idea of AMP first. The idea was that it's a web component framework that you could easily use to create different kinds of experiences. We use it to create really great websites, stories, and ads, and then now we really started thinking about, okay, can we bring the same experience to the space of emails as well? And that's where AMP for email came up from. And so I talked about what AMP is, right? And the idea with AMP for email is, can we use the fact that we have these really well-designed modular components to create emails that aren't just static, but that are dynamic, that are interactive, that can be pulling information in on real time, that a user can interact with, that can perform a task within the email. So yeah, our intention was bring engaging experiences to emails, make sure that emails are giving you up-to-date information. So for example, if you have a shipment that's been sent out, instead of like getting an email every time the shipment has progressed, so, oh, your shipment has come shipped, it's in transit, it's in delivery. Instead of getting 3 emails for like all of these updates, you should just be able to check that same email and it'll give you the correct up-to-date information. And then also allow users to take action within the email. So maybe if you get an RSVP, you can RSVP right in the email. If you have like a comment history or a code review or something like that to approve, you can do it within the email. And so here's like a demo of what we really thought the experience could look like. So for example, back in 2019, when we were deciding the project, we said, okay, you know what? If somebody was to send like an RSVP or a feedback form, you shouldn't have to go into like click on a link and go somewhere else and fill it. Can you just fill in that feedback form within the email? And would that affect conversion? Would more people fill in this form? And yeah, so we thought, okay, let's put a form in there. Let's put a form in the email, and let's have somebody be able to comment and then be able to send that out. And that's really where it came out to, right? Like we said, okay, it's HTML. People have been writing HTML in emails for a very long time. And can we leverage that to like do some actions in the email as well, as opposed to just have a bunch of link and some text and maybe an image or 2. And so that's really where the idea of AMP for email came from. And so here, like, for example, is just a template, a prototype that we created saying, okay, here's an issue or here's something that needs your attention. If you click on just review issue in this case, you can leave your feedback. You can type in some comments like looks good, okay, no, this needs work. And then you can click on submit. And the idea is it just fires that forms event and you've actually performed the task. You filled in that form within the email and you haven't had to go somewhere else to do it. And so we started working with a bunch of email providers to kind of figure this out. And so for now, that's how we got AMP for email started. We worked with Gmail, Mail.ru, Yahoo Mail, and the AOL Mail team to say, hey, can we make emails interactive? Can we have people do tasks within emails? Can we have like a carousel of images within the email? Can we have them fill a form within an email? Can we have them make sure that they're getting the most up-to-date information about their shipments within an email? That's how this kind of project got started. And so here's just some really cool examples that we've seen in the wild. So for example, with Google Docs, you can actually respond to a comment right within the email, and that just fires that event and you're done. That's why you've never had to go back to the doc. You know exactly what context the comments come in, and you know exactly how to make that comment and be done with it. For example, even like our marketing team at Google has seen a lot of success with AMP for email. So instead of like this really static, very long email that kind of just like is incredibly overwhelming for the user to read, we can maybe like truncate the information and like really see where the user finds, where the user is interested, how are they interacting with the email and stuff like that. So instead of having like a really long email of just a whole bunch of offers, you can also create a carousel of offers. So it really allows the user to engage, and so you can see how far along they're willing to move. So, oh, okay, most users only check out the 3rd offer, up till the 3rd offer, or most users see only the 1st offer and don't really care after that. That kind of information is very useful to you when you're designing your email. So for example, if you find out that the top 2 offers are what users are really looking at, you can change out the layout of the offers much better, and it'll be much more useful for your users. Pinterest, for example, also sends out AMP emails. And the idea here is you can get some recommendations in your email every so often from Pinterest, and you can save it to one of your boards, to one of your pinned boards relatively easily from the email. You don't ever have to go to pinterest.com to do so or to open the app. You're just able to do a lot more just from that email. So Lending Tree, which is a consumer banking and loan service, also helps you do a lot more tasks and like get a lot more engagement within the email. So for example, you could fill out a really quick loan survey, or like just trying to understand what kind of mortgage rates you'd be looking at directly from that email. So instead of like having that whole burden of going and checking in a new form or a new web experience, you can just do it within that email. Equid also has leveraged AMP a lot. So for example, you can get a catalog of products, like a bunch of recommended products or related products or something you've bought before, and you kind of get a carousel of offers that you can take a look at, and it allows you to look at a lot more options, and you can possibly also do something like buying within the email as well, based on a few recommendations. Email verification is one use case where I'm like really thrilled that Ecwid started sending AMP emails, because up till now, what you usually happen is you click on, okay, confirm that like email, verify email, and it would open a new tab, and all that new tab would tell you is, oh, okay, congratulations, I've verified your email. That doesn't require a new tab to be open, right? My email should just tell me immediately, okay, done, the process is done, and I can archive the email or mark it as done or whatever. So really, like, such simple tasks that don't really need another web experience to open up, moving those to the email are so impactful. And again, like I talked about, like Ecwid also makes sure that your order status is always up to date within the email. So for example, in this case, you can see that, you can see that your payment, that your fulfillment status is processing, and it was last updated just now. So it's like making sure that we're giving you the most up-to-date information on your order status, as well as being able to send abandoned cart emails. So for example, in this case, these are some products that were in your cart, but you didn't really finish shopping. And so you could just actually click on like complete order. So just actually like finish your order right in the email itself, or you can even go and see some more products if you want to on the website itself. But again, like being able to carry out a task directly from the email is so powerful and helps you convert a lot more users, as opposed to if they had to click and go to a different experience. And in fact, with their abandoned cart emails, Ecwid saw that they saw the 27% increase in sales based on their abandoned cart emails being switched from just like the static email saying, oh, you have an abandoned cart, you want to go check it out, to actually like being able to execute a sale within the email itself. Oyo, which is a travel company, also started sending out recommendations following the AMP for email format. So it really allows you to say, okay, here's some carousel of recommendations. You can also do some filtering and some searching within the email itself. And they've seen that, again, they saw a 57% higher click-through rate on this kind of interactive email as opposed to the static version of it. And they saw that conversion was also much higher. Indeed, which sends out job alert emails, also saw a much better experience when they were sending out AMP emails as opposed to just static emails. And they saw that users were 2% more likely to click on the dynamic job alerts email, because again, the experience was different. It was much more dynamic. They were getting up-to-date information, so they weren't getting old job postings, but this was whenever they opened the email, they kept getting fresh job postings that were active at that time. So the fact that they got current information was really impactful in helping them convert into the process as well. I talked about how you can do loan calculators as well as like very intricate forms within the email. That's what Find Domestic, which is a loan provider in Brazil, also did. And they saw that their click-through rate actually increased a lot higher, because again, once the user was able to get a lot more concrete information within the email, they were much more likely to engage with the product as opposed to just a blanket kind of bland email that they got sent out. And like a lot of people have seen a lot of success with AMP for email. We've seen enterprise senders such as Boxy, Guru, and Copper, which are trying to help people get work done on their job. So maybe review an expense, send out a pull request, or send out something for review, etc. All the way to consumer senders such as Ecwid, Find Domestic, Lending Tree that we talked about. All of these people are seeing success not just on the consumer end, but also on the enterprise end. So there's just a whole lot of use cases that you can dream up with AMP for email that you couldn't with static HTML emails. And it allows you to be a lot more complex with the kind of emails you send out and get a lot more interest from your user as well. So this is a lot about like, oh, what kind of success have people seen with AMP for emails? But really, like there's some considerations in this space as well. So for example, can your audience actually receive AMP emails? Are they actually like users of, for example, Gmail, Mail.ru, Yahoo Mail, etc.? If not, then AMP email doesn't make sense for you because that email client doesn't support the experience. Obviously, like because it's a new format in which to be thinking about the emails you're sending, you need to make sure that you have that you have the budget to be more creative with your emails, that you have like the time to do the experimentation to find what kind of email is actually winning out. And And in the end, like what's the goal that you're trying to drive? Are you trying to drive clicks and links to your website? Or are you trying to actually encourage engagement and like a user being able to perform a task really quickly? So if your goal is to always drive more traffic to the landing page, AMP email might not be the correct fit for you, because we're trying to help the users get more done within the email itself. And so understanding what your priorities and your goals are is really useful in this space. And so really like extending like that thought process is like, when you look at your current email that you're sending out, take a look at what that email experience looks like. Is it really long? Maybe AMP for email is helpful in that space. Is your non-essential content, like for example, all these like 4 offers, can they be like, are they not being clicked on because they're so down low the page? Would like something like a carousel be more useful in this case? And you'll have a lot of heavy content or like click through like actual actions. And so does like actually looking at your email and seeing would AMP for email, would interactive experiences benefit your use case here? You have to really think about that. And if the answer is yes, then absolutely AMP emails might be a good fit for you in that case. So actually, let's talk a little bit about the ecosystem on the end of this end, right? So when you're thinking about creating emails, you're really thinking about, okay, what kind of providers support AMP email? What kind of testing platforms, like how can I A/B test? How can I A/B test the emails I'm sending out? And then obviously, like, will my user be able to see the email in the format I want? So like, will they be able to see AMP emails? So when we talk about delivery and like a whole bunch, we have a whole bunch of email providers that support sending out AMP emails, all the way from Braze to something like Mailgun to something like Spark Post, etc., Amazon Pinpoint, Adobe Campaign. We have a lot of email providers that support AMP email, and we have more coming down the pipeline. You can actually go check out amp.dev for a full list of email providers that support AMP email, like even past this list on the screen right now. And then when you're thinking about how to create and design emails, we have like some GUI tools that help you create AMP emails that are relatively easy. Litmus and Node Mailer are testing platforms that will also support testing AMP emails. And then I talked about email clients such as Gmail, Mail.ru, Yahoo Mail, and AOL Mail that support AMP email currently. And we have more that we are in conversations with to make sure that more users who are using different email clients can see AMP emails as well. So yeah, when you're thinking about AMP emails, I would encourage you to not just be think within the box of all the email use cases you've been working with previously, but to think about new use cases that like kind of new interactive experiences that we can unlock with AMP email. And then obviously you want to make sure that whatever delivery and testing tool you're using supports AMP email. And we have like support from really popular email clients like Gmail and Yahoo, but we have more coming. So really understand where your user base is and whether they will be able to see AMP emails as well. So that's definitely something to be thinking about in this space. If this is something that's interesting, you can go to amp.dev and check out more about AMP email, but talk to your ESP, see if they support AMP for email. Amp.dev has like a playground that you can go test, like try like start creating toy emails and then trying to see. And then like, yeah, just register to express your interest, and like we can keep you up to date as like we're changing new things, as we have like new ideas, etc., and we can reach out to you about that. So yeah, register your interest. Again, amp.dev is where all this information is at. When I talk about like registering to send out AMP emails, there's a lot of security with the idea of being able to send really interactive emails. There's obviously like some security concerns as well. So make sure that you're meeting the guidelines that are set out in the registration process, which you can find out at amp.dev. You can send us an email. We can work with you to really make sure that it's working as you intended. And yeah, we can go from there. The AMP email team is here to support you in this journey of being able to send more interactive emails, and we're happy to advise you in like the earlier stage of the process and really help make sure that you're being able to send like these really interactive emails that are actually getting the job done, getting what you want done from your users. So yeah, you can go to go.amp.dev/learn-email to learn more, or you can just go to amp.dev and start navigating from there. It's a lot of information in a very small amount of time. But yeah, hopefully AMP email and like the interactive experience that generates is something that's interesting to you. And yeah, you can reach, I'm nainar@google.com. So that's NAINAR@google.com. Reach out to me if you have any questions. And yeah, we can talk more about AMP email there. Yeah. Thank you for your time, folks.
Thank you so much, Naina, and thank you all for being here.